Hello everybody, happy Tuesday afternoon. Today we are going to extend our work with the appearance panel in Adobe Illustrator. Some of the things we are going to work on today are the positioning of the stroke lines and the opacity of the fill boxes. So first off, let me show you how I set this up. You are going to experiment with putting these stroke lines in the center with multiple stroke lines on the inside of your shape and the outside. Let me zoom in so you can see these lines a little bit better. So these ones would be centered, where the black line, there's a white line, and a yellow line are all centered around each other. This one, they are inside the shape, so it begins with the black, then there's white, and then yellow. And these are outside of the shape, so it begins with black, then white, and then yellow. What I have next is then one shape with two different fills and no stroke. So with two different fills, I can change the opacity, and I have it from 10% all the way down to a 90% opacity, so you can see what the difference is from 10 down to 90. So let me show you how I went and set this up. So let's go ahead and File, New, and I'm going to hit OK. And all I did was I took my rectangle shape and I drew out one rectangle. Now this wasn't one of the videos that we watched, but I don't know how many of you remember it. But if I go ahead and click on my black selection arrow, and if I want to make a copy of this exact shape, I can hold down Alt on my keyboard, click and hold and drag over, and I will make a copy of whatever shape I just had selected. Now I'm going to go ahead and delete this shape because what I want to do is actually make all of the adjustments to this shape with the strokes and the fill so I can copy those exactly. So we are going to need 3 strokes for this experiment, and I'm going to make my fill color, I think was red in my example, and I had a yellow stroke color, a black stroke color, and a white stroke color. Now these strokes are really small, so you can't even see them on the shape right now. So what I'm going to do is make them a lot bigger. I'm going to start with 10 for my black one. I'm going to go up to 20 for my white one, and I'm going to go up to 30 for my yellow one. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Drag it down to 30. So now that I have this shape set up with my fill color and my 3 strokes, now I'm going to hold down Alt and I'm going to click and drag over, and I'm going to hold down Alt again and then click and drag over. So now I don't have to set up all those stroke points and my fill colors every time I want to change it. So right now these are all set to having the strokes aligned with the center position. To tell that, if I click on the word stroke, where it says align stroke, you have center, you have inside, and you have outside. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave this one on centered. I'm going to click on my second shape, click stroke, and I'm going to click the middle button, which would align it to inside. But I'm going to do that to every single stroke. So I'm going to do that to my white, and then I'll click on my yellow and also align that to the inside. So it moves all of these lines right to the inside of the outer border of the shape. So if I come over and click on my farthest shape here, again click on stroke, I'm going to click on the last box, which is align stroke to outside. I'm going to do that for all of the colors of the strokes. So now you can see the difference between inside, centered, inside, and outside. So after you have that done, we're going to move on to the next part. So I'm going to need to make another shape. So instead of making a whole new shape, again, I'm just going to come over to my first square here, hold down Alt, and drag it down. But I am actually going to get rid of these strokes on here, so I'm going to click on. So instead of making a whole new shape, what I'm going to do is use the Alt, hold down Alt on my keyboard, and click and drag down again. Now, I don't need the lines for this one, so I'm actually going to go ahead and delete all of these stroke lines by clicking on the word stroke and then hitting a little trash can. Now when I do this on the last one, it's just going to take my stroke to have no color, and now I have my stroke with no color and a red fill. But I'm going to change this to blue so it's not the same exact thing as these ones. And what we are going to do is we are going to roughen this one. So to do that, we have to make sure fill is selected so it's blue highlighted. Click on the effects panel, come up to distort and transform, and go to roughen. Now when you start moving the slider over, if you want to click preview to see what it's going to look like, we just need something to where the edges come outside of the original box, because we are going to overlay another color on top and then change the opacity in each box so you can see how it looks different. So I'm going to 15% looks okay, just so you can see it. If I go all the way up to 100%, it gets that crazy, but you don't need to have it that much. You just need enough to move outside the box. So I'm going to leave it around 15 or 20. Hit OK, and I need to add another fill here. Down at the bottom left, this is the new stroke button. This is the new fill button. So I'm going to go ahead and click new fill once. And now, as you can see, this box is starting to fill up the edges. So you can see the other part where we roughened it sticking out, and then the fill right here. Since we don't want to use the same exact color, I'm going to take this one and change it to red. So right now the opacity is at 100%. It completely blocks out the backed roughened part. We're going to end up changing that, but before we do that, now I'm going to use the Alt and copy. So I'm going to go ahead and hold down Alt, copy this shape over, and I'm going to do this to have 9 shapes. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So now all I have to do is click on each shape, go over to the red fill, click the opacity, and this one's going to start at 10. Type in 10, hit enter, move over to the next one, click on the word opacity, and I'm going to change this one to 20. Click on the next one, opacity, change it to 30, and so on and so forth until you get all the way up to 90. We don't need 100% because we would know that 100% will completely block it out. So if you click on the word opacity, it'll be right there for you. You can change it. And then this is the last thing that you're doing for this part of the appearance panel project. So just as a review, we looked at how we could change the alignment of our stroke points, and then we also looked at how we could change the opacity of fill layers to have multiple colors. Just finish these up right here, 80, and this would be 90. Once you have all 3 positions of your stroke layers, you have centered, inside, and outside, and then 1 increasing opacity set from all the way from 10 up to 90, then you can go to File, Export, and submit this to your first Google Classroom assignment.